Hi, I'm Steve Barlow. This is the Humanised Workforce Future You podcast video, where we're talking about perceptions of the future, issues that we need to be aware of, and their role in a rapidly changing work and life environment.
Hi, I'm Craig Saffin. The Humanised Workforce Future You podcast series is focused on the key factors evolving to create a more humanised workforce and how people from all walks of life are creating their future selves. So today on the Humanised Workforce Future You, we're going to be talking about leadership. Now, the reason we're doing this is because, as you know, we've interviewed more than 50 people that come from a diverse range of backgrounds. And in amongst those interviews that we've done with people, there have been several themes that have come through that are common, that these people have proposed, that what is necessary for a humanising of the workforce and what is necessary for the positioning of a future person in a career. And in the last few episodes, we've talked about optimism, which was a very common requirement of people positioning. And today we're moving into leadership models. And the type of model that we want to propose today is the Agile leader. And I want to hand over to Steve now, who's going to talk about some of the components and why we've selected an Agile leadership model as an apt leadership characteristic that allows for the formation of a humanised workforce and the better preparation of the future you. Steve.
Yeah, okay, Craig. Thanks for that intro. I think the Agile leadership model is really important because we live in a world of constant change, and sometimes it's very unexpected, and it can be very far-reaching, as we've seen in recent events over the last few years. And we can't really do much about that. It's just the nature of reality. What we can do something about is ourselves. And whilst we may not be able to influence change, we can influence how agile we are and our ability to be agile in our responses to change, so that instead of going under, instead of doing a bad job, we can actually do a much better job. And we've got some knowledge about this, about how to do it. And I want to sort of raise 6 points that I think are critical. And this is not so much about what leaders need to be doing. It's more about what leaders need to be like, how they need to think. And as they develop these capacities in themselves, then they will be better role models for other people, for their teams to follow.
That's the characteristics of these leaders that is important.
Yeah, these are characteristics really of leaders that makes them agile, that contribute to them being agile. And I'll just run through the 6 points that I want to raise, but then we can come back and unpack them a little bit more. First is they've got very strong values. They know what their values are. Secondly, they've got a confidence in their ability to make a difference. Thirdly, they're insightful. They're aware of what's going on around them, and they're open to that. Fourthly, they're visionary. They can see the future and they're optimistic about where they're headed. Fifthly, they're trusting and they're trustworthy. And lastly, they're balanced in their views, balanced in their interests, and we can unpack that more. But balance is an important aspect of it. So those are the kind of 6 things that I think contribute to agile leadership. And each one of those could be a podcast in itself, and you could write a whole book about each one, I guess, and people have done. But we don't want to do that. We just want to make big ideas simple here. So let's start with the values. What are values? Well, they're things that are important to us. What we value is something that is important. It's something that we're motivated to seek after. We're not motivated to seek after things that we don't care about, generally speaking. But if we do care about them, then we're motivated to engage ourselves in change and to try and improve things, try to solve problems. So we all have values, but we're not necessarily all aware of what they are, or we maybe haven't done enough thinking about what they are. So it's really important for leaders to be very clear about what's important to them.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they in the game for? What are they trying to achieve? What do they want from their lives and from their contribution as a leader? What kind of difference are they seeking to make?
These values that they have actually play a big role in the type of culture they set in the organization they're leading as well.
Yeah, absolutely. They influence they influence other people.
Yeah.
And this is where alignment is really important.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a problem if your set of values as a leader are very different to the values of the organization. You know, hopefully that doesn't happen so often, but it can happen. And then there's a misalignment. But of course, values are not necessarily static. They change over time as we age and as we mature and things happen. Maybe we're going to shift our values. We might want the same things, you know, when we're young and when we're older. And the same thing can happen with an organization. So I think it's super important for people to really sort of make an effort to think about, what am I trying to do? What do I want to achieve? What's important to me? And then to be aware of what's important to the organization and the people that I'm serving. And there's going to be differences there. There's going to be commonalities and there's going to be nuanced differences, and that's fine. But we need to be aware of if there's conflicts as well. And if there's conflicts, then those conflicts need to really be looked at and see if we can find some way of gaining an understanding about that.
Sure.
So that's one point, Craig. The second point has got to do with the confidence in the ability to make a difference. And this fits in pretty well with our talk that we've done about optimism, because, you know, if we're optimistic, then we've got this sense that we can make a difference, that we can influence the future, we can affect how things are going to turn out.
Right.
And, you know, otherwise there's not a real lot of ground for optimism. Otherwise you're just, you know, on a boat in the river and you can't steer anything. But if you feel confident in your ability to make a difference and affect how things turn out, then you've got a ground for optimism right there.
That's authentic, isn't it? You need something, you need a reason to be confident and something behind it, not just that you're a happy sort of go lucky person, right?
Exactly. So that means you need to be aware of, what do you bring to the table?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the quality and the substance.
You know, what are the qualities that I bring to the table, and to be realistic about that. You know, we can be unduly humble and sort of minimize what we bring to the table, and or we could be unrealistically proud of ourselves and overestimate our ability.
Yeah.
And this is a sort of a thing, you know, it's got a name.
Hubris, I think.
Yeah, well, hubris is a term that we use. The Kruger something effect, it's called. I can't remember the exact name, but it's okay. It sort of basically says that the people who have got a lot of ability and capacity in something are oftentimes understate their, you know, they underplay themselves, and the people who don't know so much overplay themselves or overstate themselves. So we've got to be kind of wary of that. But we do bring certain qualities, and we need to be realistic about it. But this is how we make a difference. And I guess we also could think about, what kind of a difference do we want to make? What kind of a difference are we able to make? And to be realistic about what is achievable. And what is not achievable is largely based on we don't have the knowledge right now that we need to do it. It doesn't mean that it can't be done. It just means that we haven't grown enough yet in our knowledge and our capacity to be able to achieve it. Thanks for watching this video on Humanised Workforce Future You. Please leave a rating or review for the series on the medium where you source your videos.
The transcripts for today's video can be found on craigsafran.com. Please subscribe to the series to avoid missing out on future episodes.